What possessed you to do it?
It was really a barroom bet. I had traveled across country that summer. I had seen the old posters that were made of the previous record holder. And when you don't have anything to do and your bike's in for service, you have figured it out and said, that's not so hot, about 60 miles an hour. And I had traveled 400 to 600 miles a day on my bike. And when I got back home, I told other people, and they said about his record and stuff. And I said, it's not such a great time. They said, that won't be broken for a long time, especially by the likes of you. And that just clicked, and I just said I'll do it.
So what did you ride, and what was the biggest challenge?
My bike was an R69 US, and he had a nice bike. He calls it nimble. An R69 is not nimble. It's a tank. What possessed me, or the most difficult part, was when my was holding on and staying on it for that long. Fatigue is your biggest problem. But the biggest difficulty I had was when a little 5-cent part went out on my headlight, dropping it straight down below. And so without the distance, I had to slow down. And because I originally intended to do it in 36 to 38 hours. And that cost me that time. And like he said, the fear of failure. You've come this far to have to give up, that just wasn't going to happen. So I just kept pushing on, and I came in, 4 hours, 5 hours too late. But I still beat the other guy's record. So a win's a win.
When you see somebody do it now with the modern technology, do you kind of say, hey, these guys have it easy?
Well, they had their it's technology versus technology. He had to worry about getting caught by the police, going fast. So he had all this elaborate stuff to look ahead for him. They certainly have it easier. When I did it, the interstate was not complete, and there was no beltway around the cities. So that poses difficulty. The road was different. My gas tank was different. It was a beer barrel on the very rear of the bike, as far away from the center of gravity as possible. So when that thing was sloshing around, it's like having an unruly driver. And you try and pass a truck like that would buffet you. It was real danger there. But the rest of it, I never thought about who's tracking me or who's talking to me or this. It was just it just wasn't an issue. It was just you and that bike and get there. I mean, it was that simple. And you get to hang on for hours and hours and hours, and you talk to yourself, but there's nothing else.
So has that trip over the passage of time gotten easier in your mind or tougher?
Oh, it's easier now. I slough it out now. That was 15 minutes in the sun, at the end, everyone. But there was nobody there to greet me when I got there, just my father, And since I was so late, he thought I was maybe in an accident or something. There's no cell phones to call ahead. I did get one police stop, and I talked my way through it, and that was the only other major event.
So what was your top speed?
Probably about, once it was going downhill with a tailwind, about 110. The bike itself would only do about 90, 95. That's an R69. That was what I usually did, as much as I could. But we had bad weather, you had traffic, we had wind, and that bad light. My average speed was about 70, 69.9 something, about 70. The previous record, his speed was around 60. He had the luxury of going real fast, on a modern bike, but it got eaten up by his troubles, and he planned his stops and stuff. So that's why he only beat me by 3 hours instead of 6 or 8 hours. So, but he beat it. That's good for him. I mean, he was much more conscientious about his planning. I knew I had to have a timekeeper, I had to have a gas tank, and a map. That's all I needed.